I don't know. That's a whole different world for me.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do?
Let's do it.
You want to do a show?
Let's do a show.
All right. I got to find the opening here. Hold on. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's show, back to talking terminology. We're going to talk about blemishes and what's that mean and what does it look like. Also, warning lights for farriers and also horse owners. And if you're not on YouTube, now's a great chance to go over there right now because we have some pictures of how quickly a hoof can change between different farriers. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis. How are you doing today? I sort of survived Christmas. What day is this?
I know. You got like those Christmas, day after Christmas or a couple days after Christmas blues.
Food coma.
Yeah, food coma and the blues as well. And,
Yeah.
I see you've got your shirt on, so anyone...
I've got it.
You got to stand up so everyone can see it.
Okay.
There's your camera right there. There you go. See? There's the Mike Stine Christmas Equine Dynamics. Don't fall over. Don't fall over, Mike. There you go.
Brand new shirt from Travis.
Yeah, there you go.
Travis Designs.
Yeah. So if you're over on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, now's a great chance to go over there and check us out over on YouTube.
And you can watch my clumsiness.
And here's a reason why you would go to YouTube and see all the stuff that goes on here during the show. Mike, you're up to 1,200 followers now on YouTube channel.
Nice.
Coming up on 1,300. So people are getting out there, people are watching the videos, and people are having a great time watching all those videos out there. And you can too. Just go over to YouTube and search Equine Dynamics. Now we are just wrapping up Christmas and we're getting into 2025. We got a lot of stuff planned for 2025. You know, this is season 11 now. But we had some actual gifts from gifts. We got some goodies. Let's put it that way. We got some goodies. So hold on one sec. I got. First of all, I'm gonna set this right here.
Right.
First of all, my wife made her own very blend of Chex Mix.
Chex Mix,
yes. Now, this is for you, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I didn't have any Chex Mix this year.
But it's the Worcestershire, but it's got a little bite to it.
Oh, nice.
It's got the little hot bite to it.
Nice.
So, and one of our guests, unfortunately, I don't remember who. We got this in the mail. A little candle for the studio. I thought that was nice. You can smell that, Mike. It smells good. What's it smell like?
I don't know. I can't really smell anything. Too many years of digging in rotten horse feet.
I guess so. And we also got these cups from from Emily from the Equestrian Aid Foundation.
Yes.
She sent us these cups for, if you can see them here on the camera, she sent us these cups and she also attached a letter. Dear Mike and Travis, thank you so much for inviting me on the Equine Dynamics podcast, for making it so darn fun. It was a great opportunity to get the word out about our foundation and make some new friends. Here's some swag stuff for you that to grace your studio or stay hydrated while you're training for the EAF 5K that's coming up here shortly. And here's the if you want information on the 5K, I've got it right here in my hands. It is February 17th at Village Park in Wellington. So there's a 5K coming up. There you go. I'll put that up.
Trail mix does have a little bite to it.
Got a little bite to it, doesn't it?
Nice.
So we got the cups, we got the candle, we got the trail mix, and then one of the people out at one of the barns that you worked at, the boyfriend made this. And if you're not watching this on the YouTube, shame on you, by the way. Mm-hmm. But it is like a little food tray or a tote tray or something like that. It's planed out wood, and it's got horseshoes for handles on the side.
It's got little feet on the bottom too.
A little feet on the bottom.
Nice little extra touch. Make sure it's all covered.
This is Jones Woodworking, and that's what he does. So he made us a little tray here for the studio. Put our charcuterie on it, Mike.
Right, there you go.
You know what charcuterie is?
Something you don't want to step in?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we'd like to thank all you guys that gave us some gifts. Out of the kindness of your heart, we appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but we do appreciate it as well.
It was very nice.
Yeah, and if you want to email Mike at any time, you can go to equinedynamics.com and email Mike over there. What have you been up to?
I've been out making my rounds as normal. And I had a couple clients give one of my favorite clients give me things special. It wasn't stuffed with money, but it should have been. You know.
So you got a new pink Yeti.
New pink
Yeti coffee cup.
Coffee cup.
Very nice.
And a one-off, one-of-a-kind.
What is this?
Original.
Are you
an art collector?
I am an art collector.
You are. You're going to be very jealous of this.
What do you got this? What do you got here?
I've got a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork that one of my customers, 5-year-olds, did for me.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to switch the camera. Put it down on the ground there.
Okay.
There you go. Center it up. Look at your camera. Look where you're at there. Center it up. There you go. What to say? Happy Hoof Day?
Half day, but hoof day, yeah.
Hoof Day.
Whatever day it was, but, you know.
So it looks like one of the kids.
And it's on an actual canvas.
Yeah. It looks like a kid. Here, Mike, you're driving me insane. Give me that.
Okay.
There. Just set it right there.
Right there.
So it looks like one of the kids did this for you.
Right.
It's a painting. It's got a horseshoe. And
this is going to be a collector's piece.
It looks like the Equine Dynamics logo, but it says HAPPP, HAP, HOFF, HOFF, and then day, I'm going to assume.
Right.
So, and it's got some holly around the thing. Well, thank you. We'll hang that up here in the studio.
We will.
Yeah, we'll hang it up here in the studio during Christmas time.
Yes.
What is the artist's name? Did you catch his name or her name?
It's a her.
All right.
It's a her.
What is her name? Do you remember? Oh, God. Oh, no. On the spot. Well, we'd like to thank the...
It's Caroline's daughter, Beanie.
Okay. So
Beanie did it.
There you go. So
she didn't sign it, but I'm going to get her to.
Get her to sign it, and you have to get a picture of her signing it. So when she becomes
famous,
rich and famous, we'll have one of her first pieces of artwork. Well, we got a lot to talk about, a lot more gifts to give you as far as information on equines and making creating sounder horses from the ground up. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Make sure you go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page, you can join the podcast. And what that means is your voice can be right here in the studio alongside of us. That's right. Go to join the podcast, and at the top of the page is an orange bar that says leave a message for Mike Stine. If you have a microphone on your phone, your device, whatever you're listening to us on or at, you can speak right into it, and you can put an anonymous name in there. Put your email address in there because it will. It wants to make sure that you're not a robot, so it needs a physical email address. It's not email grab or anything like that, but you can leave a message for Mike Stine. Comes right into the show, and we'll play it on this podcast if you get it in quick enough. If not, we'll play it on next week's podcast. We broadcast every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town we like to call Marshville. And my very own, this side of town, over to my far end side, is Mike Stine.
I'm actually from the other side of the tracks.
I know. You literally are on the other side of the tracks.
Yes.
That's Mike Stine over there. How are you?
I'm doing good. Travis, how are you?
Doing all right. So it's been a while since we've done this because we've had so many great guests, and we have to kind of push this segment down the tracks, literally down the tracks.
Pushed it, yeah.
And so we're going to get back to talking terminology. Now, if you don't know what talking terminology segment is, it's if you hear stuff in the barn, if you hear your vet talking about something, if you hear your farrier talking about something, even people just in normal everyday equine chit-chat, and they mention a word and you don't know exactly what it is, well, we kind of clarify what these terms are so you're a little bit more knowledgeable. And, of course, more education that you have, the more better the horses are in the future. So we're going to talk about talking terminology this week. We're talking about the word blemish. Now, Mike, when we say I've got a blemish, I think of like a little mark.
Got a zit.
I got a zit or a little mark on my face or
right.
something like that. What do we mean by blemish when we're talking about horses?
You know, it can be a little mark. It can be a splint. It can be a knot on a tendon. It can be an indentation and muscling. There's a lot of little things the horse may, and the horse may not be lame. And somebody's looking at, well, it's just a blemish. They don't consider it as something that may affect performance or not. But then there's the rest of the story. But it's something that if you see these deals as a farrier, okay, there's a what and a why, and there's a story as to how that happened. And did the horse readjust itself back? Because if you got a horse that kind of goes off a little bit, and gets weak on the side, they'll tend not to intentionally rehab it sometimes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And but it's not functionally not lame, so it's just a blemish. And a lot of people just what's a blemish, nothing to worry about. But you can we can go from there.
And the definition that I have is a term referring to a cosmetic flaw that is noticeable but does not interfere with the intended use of the horse. It may be an inherited characteristic or a result of an injury or trauma.
Right.
So if you see a blemish, I mean, it's
Go
not
get the zip medicine.
What's that?
Get the zip medicine.
Get some Clearasil on it.
Clearasil on it. Yeah.
So if you see a blemish, is a blemish something that you can, as a horse owner, you can take care of, or do you need to like panic mode?
There's not necessarily anything you can do about a blemish. Just say if it had a scuff and it scarred a little bit, and you got the scar into the skin, you're probably not going to get that to disappear, and that might be considered a blemish or a knot, or sometimes you'll see indentions in muscles or stuff like that.
Now, when we talk blemish, are we only talking about the hoof, or are we talking about the whole anywhere on the horse?
Blemishes on the hoof also.
Okay, so this could be anywhere on the horse. You may have some kind
of a blowout. You may have something, where they've thumped the coronary band, and you've got an odd growth pattern going down the hoof, and it might be fine. It might be fine, So that would be a blemish.
So a blemish is just like one of the first warning signs that.
Well, yeah, it can be.
So you need to watch it.
I always. People, well, it's a blemish, don't worry about it, but it's why? And, when I'm handling the horse, am I gonna feel something or see something? And does this, in the big scheme of things, have something that long-term affects us a little bit on movement patterns?
Now, to cause a blemish, is it mostly like a physical contact with something, or is it something inside the horse of, what it's doing or what it's eating?
That is a good question.
Thank you.
I'll try to find someone who has an answer. Well, a kick and a bang and a scrape on a going out a gate too close because they're in a hurry, those kind of things. And but sometimes you get some other blemishes that may be like a birthmark or whatever. Something in the hair or something that is out of place, a lump that's out of place, right? Mm-hmm. And there can be a number of causes for stuff like that. And it may, most of the time people, well, it's just a blemish. It's not a problem because the horse isn't out and out lame.
So worst case scenario, the blemish could go in, it could
best case scenario, it really doesn't affect anything. Worst case scenario, it could be into the fascia well enough that it could actually affect movement patterns.
So pay attention. Look over your horse.
Yeah.
All right. So a blemish could be good. It could be bad. It could be simple. It could be catastrophist. So
the catastrophist, and that's in our dictionary.
It is another word.
Our own words that we use ourselves.
That's
right.
And we're publishing that probably the end of next year.
And if we need some more words to put in there, it's holler. We'll make some up.
We'll make a whole bunch up. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, one of the warning lights for farriers and horses dealing with blemishes, I'm assuming is part of that, and Mike's got a whole book of different things over there. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Right.
All right.
Coffee out of my special cup. If my name was Ed.
So when we come back, we're talking about the warning lights of horses.
Right.
Okay. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you don't want to go on the air with us, I understand that. Some people don't want to hear their voice. But
I don't want to hear mine.
If you have a physical question for Mike Stine, you can go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form and ask him a question. We'll read it here on the air. And if you do that, make sure you put a physical address, and we'll send you out some free stickers, some magnets and stuff. We still have some holiday stickers left over. We'll send those out to you as well. And just fill that out, and we'll read it here on the air. And over to my far right side, my very own holiday sticker is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
I'm all right. You look good in that shirt there.
It's the artist that did the work.
Yeah.
showed all the ability to come up with such designs.
Yeah. So, are you shoeing horses today? You gonna be wearing that while you're doing horses today?
Shoot.
Yeah. Are you?
Run them off.
Well, very good. Very
That's how you
good.
shoe a horse, right?
Yeah. He just say, get out of here.
That's right.
Speaking of shoeing horses and literally like pushing them away, because of a little update on our horses here, Dominique and Cayenne, the pastures, we've had rain, we've had cold. The pastures are pretty much done. And we figured out, the reason why Dominique got out last time was the fence wasn't fully activated.
Right.
And the neighbor's property next door, he doesn't mow his lawn as much. So they're looking, literally the grass is greener.
It is greener on the other side
On the
of the
other
fence.
side.
Yes.
So to curb that, wanting to go over there and eat that stuff, my wife and I have decided that we're doing fescue in the morning and Timothy at night.
Right.
So we're doing hay bags, and they got a little lean-to out there, a little 3-stall
Yep.
lean-to. So we've been doing hay bags out there just to keep them occupied.
You kind of rebuilt that lean-to last year, didn't you?
Yeah, because it was too low.
Right.
So I raised it up, raised the roof about another 1.5 feet, just to give us a little bit more room and put a little bit more of a pitch to it so
Right.
the water would come off of. But yeah, we redid that and painted it and everything to match the house. But yeah, so all their hay bags and stuff are out there now just to curb them from going to the neighbor's property and mowing on their grass.
That'll help. They're just doing lawn maintenance.
Exactly. So now, speaking of maintenance, we're going to talk about the warning lights for farrier. Now, when you say warning lights, you had your little clinic over there.
Talked about is the engine light on? That's kind of what we're talking about. Yes, and I use the engine light thing when we're going into a clinic because hopefully it's like they do better than I do. But when that engine light comes on, I usually open up the hood to see if there's one there, right?
Yeah, engine check.
Maybe you should check the oil. Maybe you should do a few other things. I look at it and say, Nick, I got a problem.
Nick's your mechanic.
Is it still running? We'll drive it until it blows up. Yeah. Then I'll charge you to put a motor in it for
I was going to say he fixes it.
Yeah. But, yeah, basically the same thing. And there's a lot of things that are coming at us, information from a horse. And in particular, we were talking about blemishes. And there's a little article in one of the Farrier Journals magazines about red lights for farriers. And one of the articles has to do with blemishes with, I don't know if you can see that picture.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, I got to flip the camera around. Hold on.
Well, some horses end up upside down.
There you go.
Right?
There, that's a little bit better.
Okay.
All right.
If you can see in the chest of this horse, there's some grooves into the muscling. And, well, it's a blemish. But if you feel around there, there's probably some scarring. It would definitely affect the fascia. And on a horse like this, when you're handling him, when I bring the hoof up on the hoof stand, do I have the same kind of range of ease of movement from left to right? And the horse is sound, but we could have a little bit of movement restriction. And, the one in the higher one, blemish that is there with the little red flag, little red engine light, that affects the brachiocephalicus that runs all the way up and ties into the back of the skull and all that. And that can affect head carriage. That can affect how the horse tracks. That can affect, because if that muscle is knotted up at that point because of the blemish, yeah, your horse may not be sound, but can it be something that's performance affecting? Very possible. And, my years with Ray Morris doing all the body work, I will lay my hands on that and see what it feels like, because you may feel lumps and hardness, scarring in there that's into the muscle itself. And, goes through the outer fascia, goes to the muscle. The fascia should be free to move. If it's knotted up and tied in and scarred in an area, you may not get free movement in that area. So, you got to be thinking about this. And over long term, lack of movement, lack of range of movement will affect the muscling in the horse. And as time goes, you may have a horse that is becoming more and more uneven because of a little thing we see as a blemish, but it affects the performance of the horse.
Now, that blemish that's shown here in the picture, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, can that be fixed? Like with like working out and training and all that stuff, can that fix?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can definitely work with damaged areas, and you may not get it all out, but if someone can do some deep tissue massage, some fascia release and stuff like that, and also working range of movement of the shoulder and not just forward and back, you rotate it in a circle. That's one of the maneuvers that I worked with back in the Clyde Caldwell days. Clyde was a farrier / chiropractor. And you can, in that leg, if you wanted to, you could pull that leg up, kind of hang it at 90. You only do this on a safe horse because they're not where they'll manage it or they don't like it. Walk away from them. Never get yourself in a place where you get injured. Don't get yourself where you're going to get slammed up against a wall or pinned or anything else.
Don't force it.
Don't force it. And if the horse has good enough manners, which if they don't, we shouldn't be working on them as farriers because there's too many trips to the hospital. And but you can bring that leg up at a 90 and you can kind of ease that shoulder back and you can make a chalk mark and ease that shoulder forward. If you want real high-end testing equipment, have somebody stand with a tape measure and measure that range and go do it on the other side of your horse. And from that elbow, the back of that, the back of the elbow joint, the ulna back there, to that chalk mark, you feel that, then you feel the other side. Do we have the same freedom and movement from left to right? And using that, I'm not real into the high tech thing. You've almost starting to figure that out a little bit.
Yeah, it's only taken 3 years.
But a marking pen,
China marker.
If you don't mind putting a little some kind of a little mark on the horse. Some people don't want something they can't brush off, so a piece of chalk, and then move it forward. And you can rotate the shoulder. Is this shoulder working as easily as the other? And if not, fill these areas and start learning. That's one of those things that, like Ray, when we were teaching massage, we do these deals where we work with horse owners. And, if you can work those areas daily and work that range of movement, you can start regaining that. When I've had horses at the house for rehab, outside of just working on the feet, I'm also working on their bodies. But it's to regain a movement and get the horse moving as easy from left to right as I can and get them to develop as much as left to right as I can. Can they work left? Can they work right? Because the other end of it is, if this shoulder is not working like the other one, this horse is going to have a heck of a time tracking in a straight line. And you want him to power off evenly off the back end. Well, if he's not tracking a straight line, it's going to start affecting muscling in the back end.
So that's the warning light.
Yeah, that's a warning light. It's just a blemish. It's just an engine light.
Right. It's just it'll go off here in a little bit.
The old dump truck I've been working on, the fuel filter light is on full time now. But in going to an electric pump over a mechanical pump, I needed a live wire to feed to trigger a relay off, and I had a live wire that came to the sensor on the filter, and I borrowed that to go to the relay, and I'm not a mechanic, but I got it to work. but the filter light stays on all the time.
Next week on What's Wrong with My Truck.
That's right.
All right, guys, stick around. We got a lot more to get into, and if you're not over on the YouTube channel, now's a great chance to go over there because we have some pictures that Mike took on a horse that he was working on, and then it went to another farrier, and just the difference in the schematics of everything that goes on there. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Yeah, I never take pictures until way after the fact. It's like, dang, I should take a picture of that.
Well, here you go. Hold on. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Make sure you follow him over on YouTube. Search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine, and you can see all the different videos, all the different pictures that we have here, all the different visual elements that we have of the show. Just one more avenue for you to enjoy this media that we call Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. My very own media professional over there is Mike Stine.
Your very own mediocre professional.
Mediocre professional is Mike Stine. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. Did you have a good Christmas, by the way? I mean, outside of having food coma and stuff, did you have a good Christmas?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Was Santa good to you?
I didn't get a bag of coal.
Well, that's a good start.
Well, no. I've got a forge that uses it.
Oh, Well, coal for you would have been good.
Right, exactly.
You can heat the house and keep your forge going.
That's right.
So if you want to get Mike Stine something for Christmas, get him a thing of coal.
Get a bag of coal.
All right. Now,
coal or Coke. Coke. Most people use Coke now. Not the kind you drink.
No. Okay.
The kind you burn.
Okay. So we're going to talk about. Tell us what these pictures that we're going to look at about this horse, and why are we looking at the pictures of this horse? Let me switch over to camera 6 so we can all see it. We can all be friends.
We can all be friends. This is a horse that
This looks very nice, Mike. These shoes are nice and trim. The hoofs look good. They're nice and this looks like a freshly done professional job horse.
well, I don't know exactly how old it is. Someone professionally did it for sure. But
Oh, you didn't do it?
well, no. I had done this horse.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those deals where I should have took pictures looking at this, but I've got 20/20 hindsight.
Right.
I could see behind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just can't see forward. But I'd worked on this horse. It was in with one of my trainers, and the horse had pretty collapsed feet, and the toes were running forward. The heels were crushed under. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so I got a phone call after the horse had moved, and they asked me will you come work on the horse? Well, they're adding 3 hours out of the way to do the one horse. Now, I've traveled further than that to do a horse, believe me.
Right.
A lot further. But if you look at that far side foot there at the heel, you can see that line in the heel just a little bit further forward, and the angle that pitches forward. So that's the alignment of the horn tubules at that part of the foot. So at this point, that is going back under, which the whole foot was further back and open, but mechanically had backed the whole foot up. And part of the problem before was the foot was run way forward. And if you look at where that shoe is setting to the bulb of the heels, and if you measure your coronary line and let's go say about 2/3 from the front, from the top of it, drop a line straight down. A little, yeah, roughly. Let's go there. Okay, look at where that foot is, because you're kind of around that coffin joint, and look, and you see where the pastern comes in, and the load is coming down. The cannon bone is sitting on back here behind the heels now, as far as the down force. So that's migrating the foot back forward, which was some of the problem when we first had the horse. And when I spoke to him on the phone, they asked for some advice, and I said, well, that I don't know what to tell your farrier. And he said, well, he knew whatever, or she, or whoever it is. I don't want to get into that one.
Okay.
Everybody's got a different way of going at things, but we're losing ground with this horse at this point. And for me to make a trip to where that horse is one way's 3 hours and back home. And I don't
So that's
have
a full
horses
day.
in the area. So it'd be a full day to go do that horse, basically. And there'd be two involved because they've got another horse. But that's a long haul, a lot of fuel, and you could be sitting somewhere working.
Well, you don't, and you're not saying that you don't want to do it. You don't mind doing it.
No, I don't mind doing it.
But there's a cost for doing this kind of work for you,
right,
to call you out,
Right. With the just purely, if nothing else, A, working time that it's eating up, B, putting a 10, 11,000 pound shoeing rig down the highway that far to do one horse and come back home.
Right.
There's definitely an added expense.
So this person has opted to get a local guy to do this.
Well, the whoever is working in that barn, they had talked to them, and they were real into the biomechanics and all this sort of deal. And I talked to them, and I said, well, I hope they can keep the horse going, and I hope so. But this was like two shoeings after, and the heels are sucking back under a bit. So they were going to look around for someone else in the area, in their immediate area. I don't know anybody right there. It's like a discussion I had with over a Lamanitic horse yesterday that is up much closer to the Tryon area than I am. And they said, well, we've pulled up this other guy's name up there. And I said, yeah, I know Jack. This was the Tryon. I said, he does a lot of that. And he's done a nice job with a lot of them. I said, if you can get a hold of Jack, Jack is 45 minutes down the road. I'm 2.5 hours down the road. And if you have a problem, even if I did the horse, it's hard for me to get up there in a pinch.
Right.
So, call my friend Jack and see if Jack can take care of it for you.
And if Jack has any questions, he can reach out to you, and vice versa. You have any questions, you can reach out to Jack. It's that farrier network.
Sure. And as far as what's going on with their horse, Jack's done enough of it. It's like I told him, do you think he can do it? I said, no, I have no concerns about this man's skills. But in this case, they're asking me about farriers where they are, and I really don't know anybody there.
So the farrier that took over this horse that went out to wherever, and would you be? Are you upset that he didn't reach out to you to say, hey, where did you leave off? You know, what was your angle of doing this? You know, so I can continue doing this, or he just didn't call you or do anything.
Well, I had a call when the horse when I showed up at the barn, the horses weren't there. Mm-hmm. When they were normally in that schedule running to the barn. And like the day before I would have been doing that horse, I got a phone call. Can you just, during my time slot, can you come to shoot my horse? And I said, well, for starters, where are you? Well, you could come do mine and turn around and go back. And this was kind of the message. And I'm like, where are you? I said, you're from where I'm sitting right now. You're an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. I said, well, you could do the same time spot that mine would have been done, but just at this barn. So he's asking me to work, pack up, go an hour and a half there, pack up, go back to work. Mm-hmm. Because see, that's my time spot. And I'm like, have you lost your cookies?
Ooh, cookies.
And so, well, you could do it after you're done there. I'm like, I've got another barn scheduled to it that I'm going to travel to, and it's going in the other direction. Well, you could move them. I don't have place. I don't keep a lot of breathing room in my schedule.
So would it be
if you got a truck and trailer, you can.
I was going to say, is there any way that she could just bring the horse to you at that time? I mean, have they done that? Have you had?
I've had plenty of people do that, and it's like over at Greenock Farms, it's fairly regular with them. They have stuff. I have customers that need something special. I need an X-ray unit. I call the clinic. We set up in there, shoot X-rays, and move on. And I've had them haul to my personal shop occasionally, not that often anymore, but I have had them call to my personal shop. I've had clients at different areas where I could have people haul in and work. And I've got people that haul in, like one of my runs down to South Carolina. I got a lady that hauls into the one main place I work down there with one horse. And I do the one horse at the end of the day, and she takes it back home.
So back to this horse here. Oh, that's not the right one. Back to this horse here. What is the latest with this horse? Is she?
Well, the latest with this horse is she was going to talk to some other farriers up there. Mm-hmm. And, I kind of got hit with, give me the one thing. And part of the problem is with the perspective the owner has, and my perspective, she said, you got heel on the horse. And I'm like, measurably from the core, if you measure at that angle of the growth pattern of the tubules of the hoof, you see that hard angle?
Yeah.
The heels are longer now than they were when I did them. She says, but the horse looked like it had more heel. What it was the heels were back under the base of the foot. And actually the horn tubules at that point were actually shorter, but instead of folding under, they were coming more in a more normal direction. And I was trying to explain to her, says, well, and it kept going back to, well, that means we need to grow more heel. I'm like, that means you need to get the heel in the right place. And I kept telling her, look, to do that, I removed heel and got the heel backed up to the landmarks where I thought it should be. And now it's immediately, then we need to let the heels grow longer. But if you're growing at that angle, that means it shoves the whole base of the foot forward, and the toe's going to start breaking forward.
And just messed up everything you did.
If you look at the alignment down that dorsal hoof wall, there's already a turn in that dorsal hoof wall just in two shoeings, where there's a little bit of a shadow there, but it's not quite straight anymore. Now I had it where it was running pretty straight, and it's like that's a pretty unstable foot.
So what are you going to do now? Is she going to call you back out?
She was going to try to talk to the farriers, and hopefully that she finds somebody that can manage the horse. Okay, it's a thoroughbred. It's a very unstable foot, and that was part of the problem before.
What is the horse's job?
The horse thinks the job is eating.
Of course, they all do.
Her daughter's lower level event horse.
Okay. So would this cause an issue in the long run, or is this something that the horse can deal with now at the level that she's at?
Right at the point, the horse kind of has to deal with it, right?
Right. But I mean, at the level that she's at, that the rider's at, is it going to damage the horse even further?
If the horse, it puts it as that base shifts forward to the bone column, you're more prone to some tendon and ligament damage, some soft tissue damage. There's a few other things. As the foot shoots forward, one of the problems we had with this horse was dropping a shoulder on one side. I always drop the right shoulder. twisted, and the horse had lower back problems. When we got the horse going straight, it didn't tend to have lower back problems. So
the answer is
yes,
yes, it's going to cause problems.
If you start locking the shoulders and it starts dropping that shoulder and it starts twisting the pelvis, and because it can't get the pelvis through, it's not flexing in the back end, it starts driving the pelvis out the back, it's going to start hitting the horse in the SI, which is kind of where the horse came to me.
Yeah. And then
part of the deal is the person doing the body work on the horse called her down and said, look, we got a problem brewing. This horse is going to start shutting down. But right now, as far as them hauling to me, they didn't see that as an option. And, for me to take a day to travel to do one horse is not, can't you do a basic shoeing price, not burning that much diesel fuel, not eating up that much time to do a horse.
Well, it's where do you want to spend the money? Do you want to spend the money on the time it takes for you to load up the horse, get in the vehicle, time out of your day, not your day, the owner's day to drive to Mike Stine, unload the horse, you do the horse, and then load the horse back up, and then the owner takes the horse back to their property? Is no different than you going out there and doing the reverse end of that.
This is one of those cases, the first time I did the horse, I want a fresh set of fresh x-rays. And, of course, people, well, I got some for 2 years ago. Well, that's great for 2 years ago.
Right.
But, if this goes much further out of whack, I know enough about the horse. Yes, could I probably start getting in the ballpark we had it in? Probably. Goes much further. We had lack of sole depth. Because of coming in the middle of something, I would ask them to have some fresh x-rays done before I ever touched it. And if they're hauling to me at that point, I'd bring them. I would call the vet clinic. And they're busy over there, but I've worked with them so much I can give them a call. Yes, we'll work. We'll get you.
We'll meet you there, yeah.
And I do enough referral work for these guys. So,
well, good. All right, when we come back, one more little segment. We'll let you get back to playing with your ponies. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. What did we learn?
What did we learn today?
Not yet. You ready?
Well, I've already done it. I can't do it again. I got one time in me.
It's in my contract. I only do it once per show.
That's right.
All right, welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast. And the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast. Click on that. It'll open up a whole brand new screen for you. You can see all the past podcasts that we've been doing here for the last 3 years or so. Coming into 2025, we got a whole bunch of new stuff coming up, so make sure you stick around for that as well. You can also see the latest YouTube video, and if you're not over on YouTube, go to Equine Dynamics Mike Stine and subscribe to his YouTube channel. You can see all the different clinics that he's been given. There's little excerpts from all those clinics. Check those out as well. And you can leave a voice message, and it comes right to our inbox, and we'll play it on the very next podcast. We broadcast every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town we like to call Marshville. And your message can come right in here, and we'll play it on the podcast. Your voice can be heard right alongside of us here in the studio. And here in the studio with us every week at Monday is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. So, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
Talking terminology. The term blemish. What does it mean, and what are we looking for, and what does it look like?
Well, a blemish can be a spot, it can be a lump, it can be an indention in muscle, there's so many things it can be, really.
As I'm looking at myself on the camera, I see a little blemish.
You got a zit.
I got a little blemish right here in my face.
Go get you some zit medicine. And normally we think of these as, if your horse isn't lame, it basically moves okay. Oh, it's not a problem, it's just a blemish. But some of the blemishes can have some long-term effects.
The term used to refer to a cosmetic flaw and that is noticeable, but not interference to the intended use of the horse. May be inherited characteristic or some result of an injury or trauma, and that's the definition of the word blemish.
Right.
And also warning lights for farriers or horse owners.
Right. Some of these blemishes can be a warning light. If you got a notch in the muscle or something like that, may have been from a kick, and the blemish is some scarring, and that can affect movement patterns of the horse, which affects, well, everything. So it's always something you need to pay attention to as a farrier. When you evaluate your horse, you take a good look over, and it's like the horse we were talking about with the feet. When I first looked at the horse, said it was dropping the shoulder, they're like, the horse is standing in the ties. I asked the trainer, she says, yes, that's a bit of a time dropping that right shoulder. So, well, we can work with that. And the owner's like, well, how do you know? It's in the muscling. And the lack of muscling, lack of use, she had less range of motion on that side, and just the way the horse looked, and a lot of experience looking at horses.
And if you're watching this on the YouTube video, I'm going to switch over to camera 6 here, and we were talking about, not that, we're talking about this right here, and this is a horse that Mike was working on, and the owner moved a little farther outside of Mike's realm as far as his, traveling distance, so another farrier has worked on this horse,
right,
and has taken a different approach, and unfortunately the approach that he's taking is basically unraveling what Mike did before.
Well, it wasn't just me. It was the trainer. It was the body worker. And the body worker is the one that saw the warning light. The engine light started to come on. It was flickering because the horse had had lower back problems. And when we got the feet in a lot better place for the horse's body, the back problems cleared up. And part of that was getting where the horse could track in a straight line because of dropping the shoulder and working with that. So then the warning from the body worker is like, look, this horse had SI problems. If we keep going down this road, we're heading back in the direction of where we were.
Which is not good.
It's not where you want to be. You might want to be, but
I don't want to be there.
I don't.
All right, guys, on that note, make sure you follow Mike Stine over on YouTube and also on Facebook as well, Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. Give him a like, subscribe, give him a thumbs up, give him a love. Leave a message over at equinedynamics.com and follow him on all the social networks, Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. On behalf of Mike Stine over there,
have a good day. Enjoy your ponies.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
All of the doggies are in the corral. All of your work is done.
Nobody knows it.
Just close your eyes and dream.
Turn me round.
Dream of sun.